You thought the meetings were over, but that was just its first form. Yes, episode 54 of Reincarnated as a Slime. We go into phase 2 of the meetings. It's not done yet. We're going to get more meeting around the table and talking about things. But no, I actually like this episode. I'm of the mindset that I do think the meetings in Tensura are good. I think that's what the series is all about. As much as people might be bothered by it, that's technically what the series has always done. If you don't think they do this, you have been watching the last 2 seasons. There's a lot of meetings. It's a lot about characters, what's going on around them, the political intrigue, what every group wants to do, and what they think of Rimuru and his existence in this world. But yes, I will agree with a lot of people, and I think 54 is a good sign of it, or at least an example of it, is that they need to spend more time with this series showing rather than telling. There's too much of characters saying what has happened in the past or say what's going on rather than actually just have us experience it. And that's where I think I have my difficulty with this episode specifically. And yeah, I don't think we really spent too much time this episode doing what I think has been done in the previous episodes that I did not like, which is talk about what we already seen, where they keep talking about what we've already seen. Now, anyways, this episode, like I said, was good because we got into the Holy Empire of Lobilius. We also got into the Rozzo family, which I don't think we've ever shown before. And yes, their tie-ins with the Eastern merchants. We're really finally seeing, seemingly, what actually brought them in the picture and why they manipulated Hinata the way they did. But yeah, let's jump into the episode proper. Again, opening it up, they're all, reporting the fact that, yes, Hinata's showing up. We now once again find out that, yes, by the way, Hinata's showing up. But more than that, it looks like Hinata is arriving. She is in a group of 5 people, including herself. We also have, additionally, over here, 30,000 troops are kind of massing to go find out who killed the Archbishop. And they seem to be essentially going along with a rumor that a demon caused it, which, yes, Diablo's like, hey, yeah, I didn't do that. I don't know why they're claiming that. It kind of makes me angry. But yeah, that was like a nice little moment here where it seems like Rimuru's kind of giving a little pep talk. It's kind of that whole situation with Geld. It's like Rimuru, his past self, coming in and kind of giving a pep talk based on his own experiences. What's important is that you learn from your mistakes and you handle it properly. Oh, so you're going to let me handle it? Yeah. See it to the end. If you can do it, see it to the end, which I think was really cool. Again, it's Rimuru giving his companions or his servants a little bit of a pep talk there, which was kind of cool. But yes, obviously, at the same time, talking about the Holy Church itself. So they bring in Adalman. Adalman has made his grand return to talk about what's going on in the Holy Empire, which again, I think this is a little bit of a nugget of information that I thought was kind of fascinating, getting into their past, which again, I think all this segment here probably could have done better in showing it how it was kind of formed rather than it just a lot of talking and some stills. Now, it kind of leaves certain aspects of this still a little bit vague, which I thought was kind of interesting because, again, similar to the previous episode, I do kind of want to know what sort of everybody's allegiance is to Luminous. Because, like with the previous episode, it seems like everybody listens to the word of Luminous and the word that was given to them, but nobody's following it. Like, literally nobody is following the command. Which, yes, we do get a sense, like, with characters like Glinda, that doesn't seem like she's actually aligned with Luminous. So even though that room is supposed to all follow her orders, it doesn't seem like anybody really is. But yeah, they said the Holy Empire Lobilius was established to worship the Luminous as a god. The Emperor is the god's voice, but their identification is unknown. That's the interesting thing. It seems like there is a separate Emperor that kind of leads things, but I'm kind of wondering if the Emperor, because they're not known, maybe that means that it is Luminous. Like, Luminous is technically leading the nation, but she's making a head over here just so the place thinks that they have some sort of leadership that's there, which that could technically be the case. It says that the nation was run by a group called the Imperial Agency, which I don't know if they've shown the Imperial Agency yet. The Western Holy Church is a branch focused on preaching to others, which that's kind of what we've mostly seen. Friction started, and that's when they created the Master Rooks, or I think the Japanese, they're saying Rook Geniuses. That was one of those moments where, like, it just stood out to me. They're saying Rook Geniuses. Why does it say Master Rooks? They had extraordinary strength and authority to give orders to the Temple Knights. Now, seemingly this is not the point in which Hinata's evolved with them. It then goes into what made them so strong. Because, yeah, their power grew, they became more stronger, and then Remenu's like, well, what caused them to get stronger? Oh, thanks for asking. I'm glad you wondered why these specific people got stronger. Let me tell you about the 7 luminaries. And that's when they get to the 7 luminaries, which seems to imply that the 7 luminaries are the ones that grant them, like, this awakening, or at least gives them their strength. Said that the Crusaders were reduced to a facade before Hinata came into the picture. This is when Hinata comes into the picture, and it seems like she rebuilt them into the powerful knights, which is kind of odd, because I almost thought they already had that power, and then Hinata came in the picture, because it kept implying the fact that a lot of these members didn't have any respect for Hinata. Well, this kind of shows why they have that respect for her, that she technically rebuilt this into what it is. And yeah, you could probably say a lot of that has to do with, like, her conflict with Luminous initially, and then her essentially becoming an underling to Luminous and following her, and then thus recreating the group. And that's when they get into the 2 governing houses, the Crusaders and the Master Rooks. And additionally, yes, starting to get into the whole aspect of them being basically awakened, which, very interestingly enough, they point out that this is similar to Demon Lords. This idea that there's this point in which somebody can be so enlightened and so empowered that they become like this next level. They become awakened. And so it's kind of, it's right here, it's basically implying that all of these members around Hinata, and including Hinata herself, they're seemingly of the same level as Demon Lords. So that does technically make them quite a substantial threat. This is going into the realm of, okay, now we're kind of evening the battlefield here again. Yes, it's always implied, this idea, like most isekais, that Rimuru is this massively OP person that cannot be touched. He's so OP, he's basically invincible. But this is where it's kind of leveling the playing field again. We're establishing this leveling point again, which probably will push Rimuru up higher again once at some point. But for right now, we're essentially establishing almost an evening of the playing field here, which I kind of technically like, because it at least shows that there's some stakes here. When they go into battle with these individuals, there's going to be some risk here, because obviously, again, they're on an even playing field. Not to say that they're even power with Rimuru, because they've already established that Rimuru is even tougher than that. Like, he destroyed Clayman. I do like the fact that with this in mind and what's going on with Yom, Rimuru still has the desire of, like, okay, I can probably just be done with this whole debt thing, and maybe we can avoid some sort of war. And of course, everybody's got to chime in. No, that'll make people look down upon you as weak. No, we got to keep doing this whole thing. But no, that's when they decide it looks like Diablos is gonna go back and try to find out who exactly is working behind the scene, who killed the Archbishop, and reveal them and expose them to the world. Well, it seems like other groups over here are going to basically keep the troops at bay at Yom, around Yom, and then over here at Tempest, we're going to have basically the Yomi Gari are going to be holding off the main forces that are coming in of the Temple Knights, and then seemingly Rimuru and his team are going to face off against Hinata, which does suck because it's already kind of establishing that this is going to be a fight. And I think that's more solidified by the conversation that happens after this with the Rozzo family, that yes, somebody's pulling strings. Like at the very end of their conversation, that meeting with Rozzo, it does seem like somebody's like, yeah, I have these 2 individuals, somebody's going to basically prod at them to make them take action. So essentially, somebody's going to, it's like the 2 groups that are facing off against each other are going to be talking to each other, and then somebody's going to pull the trigger over here just to set them off. Like, oh yeah, somebody fired, let's go, kind of thing. So no matter what, it seems like everything's pointing to that this is going to turn out to be a battle. Which, yes, it'll be for everybody that doesn't like these meetings, is probably going to be exactly what they want. But yeah, the conversation with the head of the Rozzo family, that was interesting. Now, I don't know that I've ever seen any conversation or mention of the Rozzo family before, but yeah, we had a meeting where it had Glinda was there. So yeah, Glinda apparently is working behind the scenes. She was in the previous episode at the meeting with Hinata, talking about how she was going to look into the merchants or something like that. But yeah, apparently she's been working with them. She's actually working with them. She is working with the Rozzo family. It seemed to imply that Glinda is helping the Rozzo family for her own freedom. So it seems to be imply the idea that, and she's open about speaking that. So it seems like there's some sort of agreement that she has with the Rozzo family for her own freedom. Or possibly something of hers is connected to this conflict, and that might give her freedom. But it seems to imply the idea that she is working under Rozzo, and this will grant her freedom if she pulls this off. So, well, I don't know. We'll see what that goes with that whole situation, but that's her. She has a gun, so that's been brought into the picture. I don't think we've introduced guns concepts in this world, which would be surprising because they've had a lot of isekais in this world. But it seems like it's mostly kept to the east, because this merchant from the east is like, oh wow, you guys actually have guns over here. Interesting. Which again, this guy seems like an info broker, so it's odd that he wouldn't know that. But yeah, he seems a little bit shocked that it's over here in the West, but now we're introducing that concept. But yeah, the main conversation is between the Eastern merchants, Danrada, and he's talking with the head of the Rozzo family, or at least the grandpa, and it seems like the granddaughter is probably the one that's in control. If anybody's reading this segment or watching this whole segment for the first time, we all knew that this conversation was going to end with, that worked, that was great, good job, father. Good job, grandfather. We all know that little girl that's sitting on his lap is going to be the head of everything. I don't know, it kind of implies the idea that he's going by her command and it's all for her sake, but I'd be curious to see what their dynamic is. Is he a puppet, or is he, as a grandfather, looking to pass on something to her, and so he's allowing her to choose what route they take? Like, maybe he's gonna die soon as an old fart, he's gonna give it to her and wants it to be what she wants. I don't know. Anyways, that aside, the Loli conspirator aside, the conversation seemed to be mostly focused around the Rozzo family seeking to get people out of the picture and keep some sort of control, whilst the Eastern merchant seems to be very, very open to admitting that their focus here is to essentially cause a conflict, sell their goods to the West, make a lot of money selling their weapons to the West, and then once they're weak, essentially enact the empire to come in. They specify that he was a leader of like some sort of underground group of the East, but it seems like they do have connections to the empire. So the idea here is to make a lot of money and then send them in there to take over, which I think for a merchant group would probably be a bad idea, because you could probably make more money just allowing conflict to continue. But if you want to enact the overall war that will cause a takeover, you're going to still make a lot of money. But that seems to be their focus. It also seems like they have an issue with their channels through the Dwarven Kingdom being stolen, so that seemed to be an issue with them as well. They also don't like Rimuru because they killed Clayman. And Clayman was apparently somebody that bought a lot from them, so they're upset about that. They want to get back at Rimuru. So that does at least finally explain why this person at some point contacted Hinata to have him take down Rimuru. They don't like Rimuru. They hate Rimuru. But technically, Clayman died after Rimuru was facing off against Hinata, so that was probably more about the whole situation with the sales channels. They were probably taking down Rimuru for that. But anyways, that all aside, on Rozzo's side, they seem to be implying the idea that they don't want to tip the scales to either Ingrassia or Falmouth, and it seems like they're supporting Edward, and that's all to gain favor from Edward. But additionally, they don't like the idea of this demon lord basically taking over the lands. So it seems like it's kind of coming down to this idea that, yeah, technically, the Rozzo family is acknowledging that the Eastern merchants, or at least the Empire, is trying to weaken this side so they can take over, but they all seem to hate one individual, so they're working together. So it's basically two sides that ultimately in the end can't coexist, but for now can coexist for a common goal, which is seemingly to take down Rimuru. So that all kind of seems to be working out well, at least understandably in my eyes. And yeah, it would make sense that Rozzo, if they are somehow tied in with the Falmouth Kingdom, that they'd want the person that they want in charge, and thus aren't liking the meddling that's happening within their nation. As they put it, not allowing anybody to interfere in the garden that the Rozzos control, which again, I'm guessing is somewhere around that area, that nation where Falmouth is. But yeah, interesting little conversation. Like I said, once they wrap up and the Eastern guy leaves, they talk about how seemingly they're going to be meddling in with the conflict to cause a conflict. They got some people in there. They point out the Bloody Shadow is going to conduct maneuvers to get Sare and Grigori to take action. So like I said, it seems like somebody's going to trigger them to get into a fight, because yeah, we've seen them in the previous episode. Like, Sare was a little snotty kid, so again, it kind of seems to be telling a lot of stuff that we're going to see kind of unfold in the next episode. So that probably could have been something they can bring up later on, like, oh yeah, somebody triggered that to happen, rather than have this long meeting. But like I said, it was an interesting meeting. I actually like these meetings. So anyhow, we'll see if the next episode ends up actually being something. The title seems to be implying some actual conflict, so we'll see. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 54 of Reincarnated Slime. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. Let me know what you think of the constant meetings. Are you okay with phase 16 of this battle against the meetings? But additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips link, soothing, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.